Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we are breaking down generative AI. You know, the technology that seems to have appeared out of nowhere and is suddenly, well, everywhere. It's changing how we create, how we work, and maybe even how we think. All right, let's get right into it. First, we're going to talk about the boom that's happening right now. Then, we'll take a step back and see how we got here. After that, we'll explore what this tech can actually do. And finally, we'll tackle the big, messy questions it's forcing all of us to confront. So, you've definitely seen the headlines. You've probably even played around with some of the tools. But what exactly is generative AI? It feels so new, right? Like it just appeared overnight. But believe me, its roots go way, way deeper than you might think. Okay, so here's the absolute key. This kind of AI doesn't just analyze or sort information, it creates something completely new, something original, based on everything it's learned. Think of it kind of like an apprentice who's studied millions of paintings and can now paint their own masterpiece in any style you ask for. And you've almost certainly run into some of these guys. I mean, they have absolutely exploded in popularity since the early 2020s. They brought this incredibly powerful tech to literally millions of people. But here's the thing. This overnight revolution, it's been a long, long time coming. So how did we get here? Yeah, this tech was not born yesterday. It's really the product of more than a century of breakthroughs in mathematics and computer science. You know, the seeds for this were planted way back in 1906 with things like Markov chains, which were basically just a way to guess the next word in a sentence. But the real game changers happened much more recently. In 2014, we got these things called GANs, which let AI create realistic images for the first time. And then the big one, the transformer architecture in 2017. That became the engine for pretty much all the powerful language models we use today. And this led to a really fundamental shift. See, for a long time, most AI was what you'd call discriminative. It's like a judge. You show it a photo and it tells you, that's a cat or that's a dog. But a generative model, well, that's more like an artist. You tell it, generate a picture of a cat, and it creates one from scratch. That ability to generate is what makes these new tools so incredibly powerful. So what can you actually do with all that power? Well, it's not really a single tool. It's more like a whole new creative toolkit, and it's already reshaping our world in some really surprising ways. For starters, in the world of words and code, it's like a tireless assistant. You know, it can help you write that tricky email, translate languages on the fly, and even help software developers write and fix complex programs. It's a massive productivity booster. And then there's the visual side, where it's an absolute powerhouse. You can give it a simple text description, something wild like a photorealistic astronaut riding a horse on Mars, and it can create a stunning piece of art. It's basically democratizing visual creation for everyone. It's not just pictures either. It can create sound. We're talking everything from generating podcasts using a clone of your own voice to composing entire musical scores. You just tell it the mood you want, and boom, it writes the music. This toolkit is also making waves in highly technical fields. Think about healthcare. It's helping scientists design new molecules to speed up drug discovery. Or in finance, where it can create artificial data to test for market risks without putting real money on the line. We're talking faster breakthroughs and smarter systems. Okay, so we've seen the incredible promise, the amazing applications. But this kind of rapid, explosive change doesn't come for free. It's forcing us as a society to ask some very, very difficult questions. So what happens in a world where anyone can generate anything? It sounds like a line from a movie, but this question is no longer science fiction. It's being debated right now at the highest levels, all around the globe. I mean, just listen to the UN Secretary General, Antonio Guterres. He really framed the stakes perfectly, right? Enormous potential for both good and evil. And one of the first battlegrounds is a really fundamental one. What are these AIs actually learning from? And this is where things get really messy. It's a huge legal and ethical gray area. On one side, you have the AI developers who say that training their models on copyrighted stuff is fair use. They're just learning, not stealing. On the other side, you have creators and artists saying, no way, that's copyright infringement. There are already massive lawsuits from places like Getty Images and the New York Times, and honestly, nobody knows how this is going to shake out. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Beyond copyright, we're facing this whole cascade of new challenges. We have to think about jobs. Is this an existential threat to creative professions? Then there are deepfakes and disinformation, which could completely erode our trust in what we see and hear. The models can also pick up and amplify human biases, and we haven't even talked about the massive environmental cost of all the energy and water needed to run these things. And the sheer scale of this is, well, it's staggering. Get this. By August 2023, an estimated 15 billion images had been created by these tools. This flood of synthetic content, some people are calling it slop, makes it harder to find real human information. And it creates this bizarre paradox where future AIs might end up training on the weird, messy stuff made by today's AIs, potentially making them dumber over time. So here's the bottom line. This isn't science fiction anymore. It's here. We have this incredibly powerful, world-changing toolkit right in our hands. And the choices we make right now about regulation, about ethics, about how we use it, are going to define our future. The question is no longer if this will change the world. The question is, how are we all going to shape that change?